Hello, everyone. This is the first episode with a guest that we have on the Systems Change Collective podcast. And I'm very happy to welcome here today my friend and my mentor, Martijn Meima. Martijn is a business intuition expert from the Netherlands, and he combined his background in management and organization with intuition and intuitive methods like business constellations. He helps changepreneurs to run a successful business so they can make the changes in the world that are necessary. Well, welcome, Martijn. Very nice to see you. How are
Thank
you?
you. Yes, I'm very well and great to see you.
Yes, we know each other. Our acquaintance goes way back. I think I met you in 2018 on my first family constellations training. I remember it was a cold January in Oldevechte. And I remember already back then you had quite a story with systemic work and constellations. And I was just wondering if you can share a bit of how this work came to you and what is your work has to do with systems.
Yeah, so around 2005, 2006, I was a coach, a business coach and consultant. But then I did what they call an aura reading. So somebody was reading my aura. I was, wow, this is interesting. I said, wow, that you have this gift. That's so beautiful. And she said, it's not a gift. You can just learn this. So I was, wow, okay. So that's when I stepped into the more intuitive world, into what's beyond the eyes and the ears. And then I did a training in improving my intuition. But then, by all kinds of coincidences, I came across family constellations. And this just grabbed me. It was like, wow, it was a code that fit me so well. So in 2008, I was educated in facilitating family and business constellations. And that's where I learned more about systems because, Bert Hellinger is the founder of business constellations and family constellations, but he didn't only develop the method, but he also, from that method and doing all these constellations, he derived like a theory or a way of looking at the world. And that's a systemic way of looking. And it really helped me to put things into perspective and look at it from a different angle. And that really helps me to look at my own life, to look at businesses, but also to look at societies and more like societal issues. But that's in 2008 I came across that.
Yeah, and you're still, I guess, still developing and still going further. It's not like you are ever a full-on expert. It's like a practice. That's my.
It is. Yeah. So I follow other leaders and other facilitators, and some people go into more like the ancestors. Others go into how the land is influencing it. Some are how is past lives, and so there are many different ways of using this systemic approach. I do it a lot with entrepreneurs. I do it a lot with individuals. But I also have done some with more societal issues, like in Bulgaria I've done it, but also in Portugal. So
Yeah, I still remember these examples quite clearly. I started with business constellations, but then through this recent education that I did in Sweden, the Masters of Strategic Leadership towards Sustainability, I met a lot with this systemic thinking coming from science. And they also speak about these things, like about patterns of systems, what are the elements, that it has boundary, and then it will only change from within. So it's incredible that there's this intersection between different fields, how they relate. But I wanted to go back to your point about society, and because I have a suspicion, let's say a hypothesis, that this work can really help us shift certain layers into our society. So I was wondering, do you like to do something with that? What is it that you like to do with that? What is the future that you imagine that you can bring forth through this work? And what is your experience with it so far?
Yeah, I do like to work with that. I don't do it a lot yet because, it's not very common yet. Family constellations are quite common, business constellations less common, but still common. But then to do it for societal issues, Yeah, you need to find the right people and the right from the right different groups, because what I like about it is that when you do a constellation or look at it systemically, you're not looking at who is right, who is wrong. You're not looking at like who are the perpetrators, who are the victims. You're actually looking, so what the symptoms we see, because we call it symptoms, we see in the surface current, I call it. Where are the roots of these symptoms? So it's very interesting to, for example, if it's about, well, let's say that the migration crisis, quote unquote. It's a very complex world, and there's a lot of polarization. And if you do approach this from like the political stand or point of view, then you get this polarization, or you get like this mental approach. When you look at it more with constellations from a systemic point of view, it's very interesting to see, so what are really the dynamics here? And why is it happening like it's happening? And what are the root causes of, well, the issues we perceive here? Are there too many? Is it not too many? Where do they come from? Why are they coming? What is the dynamics that we're stuck in, and what kind of solution paths, I call it. It's not like, okay, this is the solution and now it's fixed. It's more like a path or a direction we can look at, where we can, yeah, if we walk that way, then we get a solution it's not like a solution like, okay, you're right and now we do your thing. No, it's more like, okay, we change the system, or we change the dynamics that are in the system, or we change the roots that are creating this. And for example, well, if I look, for example, at migration, well, it might be that there are some issues where we are exploiting actually in Africa, we're exploiting a lot of the resources there. And that also the climate change creates a lot of movement in people and in societies, but not inside Europe or inside America or the Western world. So but I'm not sure if that's true. So that's my hypothesis. But in constellations, you'll see what's really true. Yeah.
Yeah, it almost sounds like there are certain imbalances. Like this is one of the patterns, right? The give and take. And if the give and take is in an imbalance, then will be some kind of disturbance in the system.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's good maybe to mention here, is that from the systemic theory, we know that systems need some, there are some forces in systems that needs to be balanced. And one is the giving and taking. So systems always give and take with the environment. And this needs, I do like this because it's a dynamic balance, but it's like you give and then you take, and you give and you take. And this goes for people within teams within organizations in society, people in society, but also society towards another society, and also countries towards the earth. So it's very interesting to look at this balance of giving and taking. And another one is the inclusion. Every system wants to be whole. And as soon as you buy an iPhone or another phone, you need to include everything that is needed to create this phone. So also maybe the slaves that work in Congo to get all this, very small metal from the earth and put it in your phone. And also the people in China that create your phone. And also the whole system in China that needs to be in place to create your phone at the price that you pay. So this is we also need to include everything. And we tend to just cut it up because it's this beautiful iPhone that's in the display in your shop and you go like, wow, this is beautiful, and you buy it. But it doesn't say where it come from and what all is included in this. But you need to include also that. And then there is what they call, there's a natural order in systems. I'm not sure if this is really causing a lot of conflicts here, but like in businesses, there's an order. Yeah, you're the leader and I'm the follower. Or in families, you have the father and the son, or the grandfather and father and son. So that's also one of the forces that you need to look at in systems.
Yeah, when you were saying this about the phone, we look at it as such a thing that came to us as of now,
Yeah,
right? Well, it has such a story, and also in my master we were speaking a lot about upstream issues and like how far can you go into solving, as you were saying, the roots, and what are they causing to the users, right, to the end users. It's not
Yeah.
so, yeah, but I find it challenging. Like, I really like this way of thinking, but I sometimes find it challenging to give it to other people, because I think, and here I'm making an assumption, that humans, we like to have things simple, like we have to have black and white. And while instead this sort of thinking, like thinking in complexity or systemic thinking, requires a lot of yes and it's all true at the same time. Do you experience, when you work with your clients, do you experience resistance, or how do you overcome that?
Yeah, it's not so much resistance, it's more confusion. So it's like, oh, okay, this is true and this is true. How can that be true at the same time? But the thing is with constellations is that it not only talks to our brain and our mental capacities, it also talks to our body and our emotions. So in a way, our brain gets confused, but our body goes like, wow, this is so true. And that's what I like, and this is also how I overcome it. So it's like to allow people to not only learn and experience mentally, but also with embodied feeling, and that's what constellations do. And that's why I think it would be so wonderful to have some politicians in a constellation experiencing, the complexity, but also at the same time sometimes the simplicity of the complexity. Because when we do a constellation, there is a lot of complexity, but at the same time, like there are only like these three forces. So is everything included? It's not a very difficult thing. No, we don't include everything. So what happens if we include? Okay, so it really hurts us because but it's not very difficult. It's more like, okay, you need to face it. What about the giving and taking? It's not very complex or difficult, but it's like, okay, we take more than we give. Maybe it's hard to, okay, so the consequences might be difficult because that means that we cannot buy iPhones, or we need to pay more for an iPhone or whatever. But now we see all the issues that arise in society, and we just say, okay, well, we need to fix it in somewhere. Everything is immigrants, or it's the big companies, or because that's the other way. Some people, like the right wing, say it's the immigrants. The left wing say it's the big companies, and both are true and not true. So, and maybe that's the most difficult part, is that you need to be open to new ideas, and that it's not that black and white, and that maybe the solution is somewhere else than you thought it would be.
I really like this. There's, what I hear is there's simplicity in complexity. Like, yes, it's complex, but also it's not that
Very simple.
difficult. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, who knows, like, if people are willing to accept the consequences, as you said. But I hope when we know it in our body, and when we see that this is, not even see, we know it's the right thing to do, I hope more people will be willing to transition to a system that works for everyone and not just the top 1% or whatever.
And the thing is, if you work with constellations, you tap into this field or layer of the world where everything is connected and where we are all one. And every single body on Earth has a connection with that. So when you do a constellation, you're reconnected, or you're remembered of this wholeness that we all are. And that's also what I like about constellation work, is that it creates this new perspective from this wholeness. And then it's crazy, of course, that I take something, because then I take it for myself, because I'm also the people in Congo working there. And that's a very strange concept, of course. But when you are in a constellation, you can feel this interconnectedness and this, love for the whole, instead of saying, oh, I take this and then I don't care about the rest of the world, because that's not the nature of who we are. But that's what we have made each other by the politics, but also by separation of the mind and the body, separation of good and evil. So that's also, I think, that really is that constellations can contribute to to society.
Yeah, to the well-being, to yeah, somehow revitalizing. I think a lot about this.
Yes.
It's like I was speaking with someone that pro-life normally has this connotation in the abortion debate, but I just think I am pro-life. Like I would love to see people with more vitality, and not only people, also nature and everything that we do to be more revitalized and connected, sourced to whatever source means. But yeah, the illusion of separation, that's what I'm hearing also.
Yeah.
And the,
And don't forget that when you read the news, you get the idea that it's going wrong and it's all polarized. But if you get different news, there's a lot of things happening, that people are connecting, that people are taking care of each other, that people are feeling that they're one with everybody. There's a lot of movement also in this other direction. And I
yeah,
think
yeah.
that's also important to realize.
No, absolutely. Otherwise we'll be hopeless. Like I truly believe that there is a layer. Even if we see so much bad news and bad elections or whatever wars, there is a layer underneath that we're all working towards something, and we're going further. And I think the news are just so curated to put you in this experience of separation and numbness and fear and completely. So it's nice to give space to another narrative, and
Yes,
I
yes.
I appreciate also this conversation.
Yeah.
Cool. And I wanted to ask you. You mentioned if you could work with politicians. Is there a group or something that would be your next challenge, or some resource that you would like to get access to, or I don't know. What do you dream about in your work?
Yeah, it's a good question. Well, I do a lot of European projects where we, well, improve the education system in Europe. Um, and we have also been talking about this European government, or if we could do something there. Well, the UN would even be better because then it's global.
Yeah.
Or to work with Trump. I would love to work with Trump.
Yeah.
And but yeah, but also with the European Union. So let's start with the European Union. If we could bring in constellation, systemic perspectives, systemic theory,
Yeah.
and let people experience that the things that are thinking about there, how they affect what is happening, and that they can connect with this real root cause of issues instead of more the surface that they're touching or trying to analyze. So yeah, if I would dream, then I would like to do a constellation for like the European Parliament or the European, some kind of
Yeah.
European groups that work on certain issues. Yeah,
Yeah. And is there a limit? Like, can you work with 100 people or 500 people? Like, have you done something really big like that? Is this?
I've worked with 80 people in a room, and then we do a constellation. This was in Bulgaria,
Uh
and a
huh.
constellation for how can Bulgaria flourish again.
Uh huh.
And there we did a constellation with, well, all kinds of aspects, like the government and what can the people do, how is the history influencing it, what is masculinity and femininity doing here. So and we can do it with well, 500 is a little bit too much, I think, but with 200 you can do a lot.
Yeah.
Because the thing is with constellations, it's not only the people that are, because with the constellation we put representatives in like in a circle, and they represent different elements of the question. So it could be the United Nations, and it could be the people working in Congo. It could be the phone, um, and everybody in the room can sense the energy. So it's not only the people in the constellation, but it's also people outside the constellation that get this insights like, whoa, if I look at this, it really touches me. And it's even interesting because some people will say, oh, this touches me, and somebody else say, oh, but this aspect is really transforming my life. So everybody takes out their own learnings from a constellation.
Yeah.
So yes, I can do it with bigger groups, yeah.
Yeah. So actually, in the room, even if there are 5 people or 10 people or 20, there might be a lot more people who are into it, somehow involved in the constellation. Or there's a bigger field, perhaps it
Well, the
resonates.
thing is, when I learned constellation back in 2008, my teacher said, when you do a constellation, you change the world. Because what happens is all systems are connected. And if you change something in a system, like you and I are now changing something because, well, you get a different perspective, I get a different perspective. So when I walk to my wife, I am a different person. And then she will have to adjust a little bit to relate to me again. And
Yes.
then she is adjusted, and then she goes to work, and she's a little bit different, and then her work has to readjust, and then everybody goes. So the whole world changes when we change something.
Isn't this incredible? It's a bit like the butterfly effect, right? That the wings of the butterfly in one side of the planet have an effect. I just find it so empowering. And I think, I always think about this when voting. Like, if someone tells me my vote doesn't matter, like, of course it matters.
Yeah.
But anything, like the choices, whether you meditate, I guess, in the morning will have an impact on how you show up to your work or with your neighbor, etc. So this notion of interconnectedness for me comes across as very empowering.
Yeah.
And I hope more people can take something out of it and live more consciously, I guess.
Yes, I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Okay, I would like to close here soon, but maybe before we go, one final question. What type of world do you hope? Essentially, you are in the changeupreneurs or change makers world. What is the world that you would like to live in within, or what is the world you would like to leave behind? Something like this.
Yeah, it's for me a double question. Because this is the world we have right now. So actually, this is the perfect world for me. So that's also part of the spiritual practice I do, is that, yeah, this is what it is. So why resist it? Why fight against it? So every change you want to bring begins with accepting and acknowledging that what is.
Yeah.
So yes, this is the world I want, because this is the world that there is.
Yeah.
And yes, I also see some changes I would like. I see some things that can be improved, but it's always good to see it. I'm not fighting against anything. It's more like this flow of life that wants to go through me and wants to change something. But it's not because I want change, but it's because that's just the nature of life. Everything wants to change because, well, nothing in nature stays the same. So it's more like a natural movement. And the natural movement that I see is that people more connect with this oneness, and that it's not about you or me, it's me, you, and me, and it's about us.
Yeah.
It's not about the planet or me, it's about me being the planet. It's about being connected. So if we can all sense this connectedness and act from that, then I think the actions will lead to more connectedness instead of more division. So if there is a wish, then this is the wish or the movement I feel. And at the same time, yeah, this is the world that is there. So I'm happy.
I could not have said it better. I really, really resonate with what you're saying. I really, really like it. I'm detached from the outcome, but yet I'm living it just because that's what kind of nature wants. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. Thank you for
You're
this
welcome.
conversation.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.